If you guys are ready to praise God tonight, how many of you guys are ready to give God a praise tonight? Are we all ready? Let's give him a scream and let's give him a shout of praise tonight. Let's go. If you know how to sing this song, I want you to sing it with us. Sing it loud. Say, I'll raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. Say, I'll raise a hallelujah. Say, louder than the unbelief. Sing it out louder tonight. Say, I'll raise a hallelujah. My weapon is my melody. Sing, I'll raise a hallelujah. And heaven comes to fight for me. Sing it out loud tonight. Sing.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar.
Sing it out loud, say, I'll raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. Say, I'll raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. I'll raise a hallelujah. Say, in the middle of the mystery. In the middle of the mystery, say, I'll raise a hallelujah. Declare it tonight to fear. Say, fear, you've lost your hold on me. Yeah. Sing.
I'm gonna sing
In the middle of the storm. Say,
louder and louder,
you're gonna hear my praises roar. Say, up from the ashes, hope will rise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Say, I'm gonna sing, middle of the storm. Say,
louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar.
up from the ashes, hope will rise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Oh, he's alive. How many of you guys can declare that God is alive tonight? If he's alive in you, I want you to sing this song out loud. I want you to sing the next part of the song out loud with me. Sing it with me. Say, sing a little louder.
A little louder,
Sing a little louder.
sing a little louder,
Say, sing a little louder.
sing a little louder,
Oh, sing a little louder.
sing a little louder.
Say, sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies,
Say, sing a little louder.
louder than
One more
the
time.
unbelief.
Say, sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
Oh, sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies,
Oh, sing a little louder. Sing.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. missionary that we know, and he's saying that God sent him somewhere, right? And it was to preach the gospel. And the pastor says, and I found that the Lord had opened a door for me. The next verse says, I still had no peace of mind because I did not find my brother Titus there. So I said goodbye to them and went on to Macedonia. See, the interesting thing that I went on to read afterwards was from Psalms. We know when the people that were faced with the Red Sea, it's like a place of faith, right? And we want to have that kind of faith, but really, in that moment, they doubted. In Exodus, if you can put it up there, it says that the people, they rebelled, and they were like, were there no graves where we come from that you had to bring us here to die, because the Egyptians behind them were coming to take them back to captivity. So what thing do you have behind you that you have left, but yet you still want to go back to, because things got a little bit tough? And Moses said to the people, the Lord will fight for you. But really, this was God's response. It says, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. So what's the thing that you have to face on and say, I'm moving on? You got to say it a little louder, I'm moving on.
I'm moving on.
In the middle of the storm, I'm moving on. In the face of fear, I'm moving on. So I want you guys to say this with me. In faith, believing. God already said his yes. Now you got to move on. Stop crying out and move on. So I want you guys to say with me. Sing a little louder.
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 Oh, sing a little louder. Louder.
Sing a little
One more time, sing it out loud. Sing. Oh, sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies.
Sing a little louder.
Louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My love is a melody.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to
So I'm gonna sing. Say, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the song. Say, louder and louder.
You're gonna hear my praises roll up from the
Say, hope will arise. Death is defeated.
The King is
Say, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the song. Say, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roll. Say, up from the end. Say, hope will arise. Death is defeated. Oh,
The King is alive. Now I want you just the voices to sing this part again. All right, we're gonna do it again, but I need you guys to have faith. I don't know what everybody that came in here is dealing with, but today we're believing. We're leaving fear at the door. We're leaving our past behind, and we're believing. Okay, so I want just the voices. Sing a little louder.
sing a little louder.
Sing a little louder. Sing a little louder. Sing a little louder. All right, now you guys are gonna repeat. Sing a little louder. The next part.
In the presence of my enemies,
Sing a little louder.
louder than the unbelief.
Sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
Sing a little louder. Who fights for you?
Say, sing a little louder.
In the presence of my enemies.
Sing a little louder.
Louder than the unbelief.
Say, sing a little louder.
My weapon is a melody.
Oh, sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me. Our God doesn't lose battles. If he took us out of something, that's because there's something greater ahead.
The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. Declare that one more time. Sing, my God will never fail. Now sing it out loud. Say, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Declare this thing tonight, saying, there's power in the mighty name of Jesus. How many of you guys believe? Say, every war he wages, he will win. No, I'm not backing down from any giant, 'cause I know how this story ends. Say, I know how this story ends. Say, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. Say, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a yeah, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. One more time, say, oh, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. Oh. Declare this thing tonight with me, sing. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Declare this thing out loud tonight. Say, you take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Say, you take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. I'm gonna see, say, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. Say, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. Say, you turn what the enemy meant for evil. Say, you turn what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. Turn it for good. Say, you take what the enemy turn it for good. Say, I see you move. Say, I see you move. You move the mountain, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you do it again. I see you do it again. sing this next part with me. Sing it with me. Sing. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. One more time, say your promise still stands. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You let us say, sing it out loud. I see you move. Say, I see you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe, yeah, I see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you do it again. Oh. How many of you guys can give God a great shout of praise tonight? Before we finish this, I will say this tonight. I think each and every one of us here, in some areas of our lives, are facing some sort of uncertainty. And I saw a pastor preach this before, that the opposite of faith is not fear. So many times we say things like faith over fear and all that stuff, and it sounds nice, but the opposite of faith is not fear. Because if you look throughout the Bible, all the men that were there that God told them to do something great, they all had fear. The opposite of faith is not fear. The opposite of faith is certainty. When you're certain that something is going to happen, it really doesn't take any more faith. This is why our faith always increases in our moments of uncertainty in our lives. The Bible says, consider it joy when you're approved, because when you're being tested, then your faith will grow. Your faith will be made stronger. And so I believe that some of us here might be facing a moment of uncertainty in their lives. I certainly am. If there's one thing I'm certain of, is that I'm going through a moment of uncertainty myself. And while we were praising and singing out here, I saw Jonathan's boy singing over there, and I have a microphone, and he sounds louder than I am over here, and it's just so beautiful to see children praise in that way. They live totally dependent on their father, and this is what the Bible calls us to do. It calls us to be like children, because the way children are is they're totally dependent. I mean, he's confident tomorrow he will eat. He's confident tomorrow he'll have what he needs, because he knows daddy will provide. And for you guys who are fathers, you know they don't have to worry about that. And sometimes we get into places ourselves where we worry so much, we wonder if God is going to provide anymore. And all we have to do sometimes is remember all of the things that he's done before for us in the past. So to honor that in God, to honor what God has done before in our lives, we honor him with faith. And tonight I want us to sing that pre-chorus just one more time, to declare that God's promise still stands. No matter what we're facing right now, his promise is still much standing. It's still standing strong over our lives, in our works, in our relationships, in everything that we're facing. His promise still stands. So I want you to sing it with me tonight. Sing. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Say your faithfulness. I'm still in your hand. This is my confidence. You never fail. Say your promise still stands. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Say your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. You've never failed me yet. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, hallelujah.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Everything good? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, praise and worship band. Amazing messages that y'all were giving. Pretty much y'all were preaching as y'all were praising and worship. So that's awesome. So I'm glad today is the last day of love, sex, and marriage. Not in that order, guys, but yes, those concepts, okay? And today is going to be awesome because we're going to have questions and answers. And a lot of the questions that you guys asked are very great questions. Don't ever think, I know teachers say all questions are valid, no questions are dumb. Same thing here. There's no dumb questions, okay?
Is there that? No.
Nah. There's dumb people. I'm kidding. So today is going to be a little different dynamic-wise. Again, we invited Pastor Carlos and Pastora Sara. Do y'all remember them when they spoke? Yeah, they spoke with fire, gave us a little bit of testimony. So today is going to be the same thing. You guys are going to ask some questions. There are some prepared questions and online too. If they can ask some questions, I know Tammy kind of sent a message to some people that are watching online. They can ask some questions to us. We'll definitely be here and answer them for you guys. So with no further ado, Pastor Carlos and Pastora Sara, can you guys come up?
And can we have the house lights on real quick, guys? That would be awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Oh, yeah, we'll use that. Oh, Mike? Okay, gotcha. Okay, so who has some questions? No, okay.
Well, think of them. Think of the questions.
Right.
Start thinking of them. We're not going to do it yet.
Okay, hold on. No. First, I was going to ask everybody if you can just move like the first two rows. Since we're going to have mics, I know it's kind of scary at church to sit in the front row. You know, when you go to class, you got to sit on the front row. It's all the attention on you, but it's okay. We're not going to call you out, promise. Maybe. All right, awesome. And then, Joyce, I'm going to give you this mic. So then, because when you ask a question, people online, we want them to.
And when you guys ask questions, if it's something personal, the trick is to say, my friend, I'm asking for the neighbor, my mom asked me to ask him. So before we start, though, I wanted to kind of start with the stories as well. Carlos told us a little bit about how he met his wife, and I just want them both within 5 to about 10 minutes. If you guys can tell us your story, share a little bit about yourselves, and then. Oh. Yeah, she can interject. So actually, let me get the mic real quick. Once we ask the questions, I'll go back to you. I'm not a mic hogger, trust me. I'm gonna speak with. Okay, so. Pastor Carlos.
Just say Pastor Carlos and his wife.
I was going to ask you how you say pastora in English.
I think it's just pastor.
Pastor.
Minister, because there's no feminine word. Pastors.
And Pastor Sara. We'll make up a word. Pastora.
Just make one. What's up, guys? It's good to be here again and be able to share some knowledge, I guess, some wisdom, right? Like I said last time, this is so important. And I just want to know one thing. Have you learned anything? Yes? Have you learned something?
We've had a few breaks. We've had a few coming together.
That's all good. As long as you're learning something, that is all good. Well, last time I was here, I shared a little bit of the story, our story. Now it's your turn.
Oh, well, he just puts me on the spot. Thalita was saying how you guys should move forward. Everybody's scared to move forward. I think it's more intimidating for us sitting here having you all look at us. No, but as he shared the last time he was here, do you remember what was the one important key of a marriage or a relationship?
The pillars.
The pillars. What was one of the pillars?
Love.
And it's to like the only one he got out was he needs to try my own. that wasn't a pillar. Commitment, love, communication. I think most of our relationship was based on communication starting off, as y'all know, right?
By force.
By force. By force, we started being forced to communicate a lot. But that was a good thing because that was a good foundation through our marriage and for us to lead with a lot of things that we face throughout life. I think not only marriage, but any type of relationship, our relationship with God, with friends, family, parents, right? Our marriage, one of the first things is communication. Sometimes I think that's the main error in a lot of people is not being able to express what they feel or what they want. And if you are not able to express that, then you get nothing out of that relationship, right? Because you can't communicate. You don't know what one another wants.
Communication. I was not going to talk about communication. I thought you were just going to say something about our story, but oh well. Communication is so amazing, right? Because I don't know if you have thought about this, but animals can communicate, right? Either through sounds or through movements, they can communicate. But the amazing thing is that God gave us, only us human beings, the power of speak, right? And when you speak, you can express your emotions. You can communicate your feelings, right? But the other thing about communication is there's ways to communicate. And sometimes we don't communicate, or sometimes we communicate incorrectly. And I'll give you a little sample. Would you grab that?
Will you say it kindly?
Excuse
me.
Right? But if I say, could you please help me and pass me that?
Sure, honey.
The same thing. The exact same thing. But it's the way you say it. And sometimes we get to talk to couples and they're like, we communicate. I tell her all the time. And she's like, no, you don't. Because it's the way you communicate. Men communicate in one way and women communicate in another way. And the challenging part is how to recognize how to communicate with each other. So communication it's so important. Not only to talk, to speak, but to understand the other side. Understand how is she feeling. Understand how is he feeling. And I think if we get that right, we will have better relationships. It's not only boyfriend and girlfriend. It's not only husband and wife, but it's parenthood. How you communicate with your kids, how your kids communicate with you, how you communicate with your boss, with your pastor, with your in-laws, with everybody. Communication is key. So if you take something from this event or from the portion that we share, make sure you understand communication, okay? Understand communication. We didn't say anything about our story.
Tell us a little bit like how you guys met, how long have y'all been married? Because there's some people that weren't here when you were here. And so just give them an idea. Because I look at you guys and I say, they've been married for like 10 years. Y'all be surprised. So let them know like how long y'all been married and kind of like how you, just like a quick version of how you guys met.
Yeah, we met, I was super young. I am still super young. Younger. No, we've been married almost 20 years. Yes, 19 years this year in August. So yes, we made it. Everybody who said we couldn't make it, we made it.
It's online.
Yeah,
so let them know.
exactly.
Many people say this is
Oh,
not gonna
yes.
last.
A lot of people thought we were not going to last. Many people touched my belly to see if I was pregnant because they thought I was getting married too young. So, which.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, we married. We married at a very young age. I was 18. So, getting.
I was 15.
No, we're 3 years apart.
Why you have to say that?
So you can imagine it was a challenge in the beginning because parents, right? They feared a lot if this was just, a fling or just, a thing for a moment. Or if it was really love, if it was really a relationship that we were going to invest our time and invest all our feelings in. And I think we overcame all of that. I mean, it's been 19 years. Obviously, in the beginning of any marriage, you have all your struggles. You try to communicate. I think in women, we always think that the man should understand us, and that becomes very tricky, right? Because we always come to well, he should know this. If I'm looking at him this way, he should know that I'm not happy, or he should know I am upset. Or when I say it's fine, it's really not fine. Why are you not asking me what's really going on? So in the beginning, obviously we had those struggles on communication, not only on our relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, because you also go through struggles through that, but in the beginning of marriage was obviously learning to understand each other and to communicate what each other needed from one another.
Yep. So 2 years as a boyfriend and girlfriend, and was a lot of communications, know each other. And like I said last time, I was interviewing her for a position that she was gonna hold for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And she was interviewing me for the position that I was gonna hold for the rest
We talked about
of life.
everything.
Yes. We talk about
Everything.
dreams. We talk about kids, the names of our kids. Some people would think, "Oh, that's crazy, man." I was like, "Nah, I wanna really wanna know this person, make sure she's the one." And so 2 years of boyfriend and girlfriend, and 8 months as in engagement, right? And engagement is completely different from the boyfriend and girlfriend stage, okay? Engagement is the time that you're going to save as much as you can,
Yeah.
all right? You're going to work,
Yeah.
work, and save. If I can give you one advice, and one advice only, if you're going to get married, do not live with your parents. Try to go somewhere else. I understand. Sometimes things are difficult, circumstances. I understand. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point in your life, just try to get your own space. If it's small, if it's
A
simple,
bedroom.
if it's a bedroom, whatever it is, but that is your place. So we save, and we got a all right apartment, I guess, right? Like Sarah was saying, it was struggles, man. It was the struggles in the beginning, but one thing that we had very clear is we're gonna figure out in here.
Yeah.
Sarah never called her parents to say, "I can't take this anymore. This guy is this." I never called my parents to say, "Sarah is not the same thing she was 8 months ago." No, we always try to figure out husband and wife stuff inside our marriage, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong going with pastors,
Because when you
right?
need
And
help,
ask
yeah,
for an
obviously.
advice, but never go and complain to your parents about your spouse. I don't think that's the right thing. So, yeah, 19 years, 2 beautiful girls. Bella is 12, Gigi is 6, right? But the grace of God, they are very well behaved, right? Saves by the grace of God, and sometimes Mr. Bell sometimes has to come out. But
Used to.
I was praying the other day before going to work, and I was just saying, thank you for the most precious things that I have, Lord, which is my family. I can lose everything today. I can lose the job, the career. I can lose all the money. I can lose the cars. I can lose the house. I can lose everything. As long as I have my family, I know that I can conquer that and many, many more things, but family is the most important thing. So I'm very proud of what we have built together. I'm very blessed to have you in my life. I know you are blessed to have me in your life.
Very, very.
No, but no. All joke aside,
Yeah.
God has blessed.
I think
us
it's the
tremendously.
ongoing dating. That should never end, okay, guys? Dating should never end. It's not like what he said last time, you get married and it's game over. No, it's just starting. It's the best. It's the best now. Because now you get to enjoy some stuff that you didn't get to enjoy when you were boyfriend and girlfriend. Then now in marriage,
That is right.
then now in marriage, you can
right.
enjoy into the fullness of
Yep.
it. So there is a more profound connection. And I think when there is love in between, obviously that grows even more. So always making time for each other, obviously, is the most important thing. So
I was gonna say that we have reservations at 9:30, so we gotta go.
Thanks for sharing, guys. Yeah, I can have one. So it's our story. Everybody knows our story.
I don't.
Okay, so let's start like this. Thalita was obsessed with me.
I'm like sweating. I've never
No.
heard him say, because I'm always the one telling our side of the story. I want to hear it from you, your perspective.
So I remember the first time I saw her was probably Jonathan was with us, Maria Yesenia too. We went, I was part of a band and I would play piano, and we were invited to these Brazilian people's church, and I was like, they speak funny, I don't know if it's a good idea. So we went, and then I remember specifically Thalita, she was holding the door, and she was welcoming people, and I was like, yeah, she looks a little exotic, what's up? So then we played. I think we didn't speak to each other in a long time, but I think Tiago and my sister Laura, they went to high school together, so they knew each other. They met up somewhere. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, you came to our church, you sang, and so they invited us again. I think it was to a concert at the old church that was pretty close by, and we went with the band again or something like that. And I remember it was a night where it was, Tiago's band, Tiago's always with the rock band, and he's like, man, we're going to play. Marquinhos, I think, was going to play or something like that. So the guy that we took, they're like, hey, can you give diezmos, a word of diezmos, right? And he's like, cool. And this guy spoke a lot. He started speaking. Diezmos took an hour and a half. Yeah, and Marquinhos, he grabbed his little speaker. As the guy was talking, he just grabbed it, yanked stuff. The cable's like this. He was just going like, mad. And then Tiago was mad. And so my brother-in-law's relationship kind of started rocking. But then we met up again. We started hanging out. And we would go to a 24-hour fitness on Fry Road in I-10. And we would go work out as a group. But we would sit there at the basketball gym and eat ice cream. Yeah, perfect date. So it was cool because we actually started communicating much earlier, and we didn't even know that we're kind of like communicating that way. But we would speak, we would sit there and talk for hours and hours, and then it grew into a friendship, and it was almost like for a long time. I think you went off to school, right? And she says, God guarded my heart, because there's a lot of offers. But I was like, no, it's, I wasn't really into music. I was kind of a music nerd and stuff like that. So she came back, and then we started just hanging out a lot, conversating. And it was like every day. She lived really close to me, to the point where my parents and her parents lived super close. If you would make a street, it would take like a minute to get there. Go around. So we would hang out all the time. And I know a lot of the people were always messing around like, man, you guys are dating, but we were really just getting to know each other. Yeah, you guys are messing around. No, we weren't. We're just really going out as friends. We do everything together. There are times where we skip school. Obviously, we haven't finished, so that mess, yeah. Yeah, college. We still got to finish that. But we would go on dates. We would go to the movies. I mean, do so many things, and we got to grow in that way too. We didn't really speak specifically, like, what do you see yourself? But we had really deep conversations and stuff. And then she made me grow up pretty quickly, and
I made him get a job. I told him, I am not dating you if you don't have a job. So my boy went and applied at Chase, and he's still there.
see, to me, Paula reminds me of myself. Like, doesn't work. I'm kidding. No, I was very, jokester.
So you feel attacked.
Very.
He was a big kid.
Big kid,
but
big kid.
mature. It's
Big kid.
Mama's boy immature. Can we? There you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Paulo, mature but super goofy.
But it's awesome because ever since then, I could see that Thalita has always pushed me to be a better man, not a boy. She helped me, kind of push me to get my first job, and I'm weirdly still there. And just in life in general, we got married very young. I was 21, and you were 23.
I turned 20.
Oh yeah, that year though. So we got married, and there were struggles, right? Again, I was working kind of like a first job, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought at the time I made tons of money. I thought I was like the king of the world, and there was times where she had to call parents and call brother and, hey, we need some money, and ask for that stuff. I wasn't the spender. No, but I was shots fired. I'm shooting. I have an AK-47.
I haven't talked yet.
I have an AK-47 in my mouth. But it was tough, right? At first, we were able to grow from that. But like I was talking to someone, I think yesterday, we were praying for him and stuff, and I was thinking, like, man, anytime that you get to the lowest is where you can value like things when you grow up, right? So as you're growing up, as you get your job, right, you guys, or as you get married, as you find the partner, as you find these like things that are like awesome, you actually value them more because of the struggles that you've probably gone through before, right? So it wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard either, right? I think communication is a key. I learned that the way I was is I never communicated when I was upset, and she taught me to talk more, and then, like you said, there's a lot of time, I'm fine. And I thought when he said I'm fine, that's fine, right? I'd go and play video games or watch movies, or I'd call a friend, be like, hey, you want to come over? My wife, she's fine, she's okay. And my friend would come over. That was horrible. But I learned you have to beg, and then even till now, I know sometimes I ask her 3-4 times. I go away, I'm just waiting there, and she comes, babe, yeah, something is wrong. It's just the way it is. And if girls were easier, then life would be easy. I'm kidding. But kidding. She told me that she wanted me to talk, so that's your fault. But 10 years later, like Pastor Carlos said, it's a blessing to have her in my life. We have Zoe, we have Noah, and I wouldn't want it any other way, and it's there's times where, like, same thing, I pray. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm at work. All I want to do is just go home and just sit there. If I just sit there and I have Zoe on my lap, Noah here, Thalita here, watch whatever it is, I don't care what it is, as long as I'm with them is what matters. So I'm very blessed.
That's a funny thing now that you say you just want to go home. So my boss came to me the other day. He said, look, if you want to grow in your career, you got to do social events. Just between us, I'm not social. I don't like mingle with people, Church people, of course, man, I have a blast. But people, like, I don't know. So I told Sara, and Sara was like, well, you got to go. I just want to come home. And I think that's a good thing, that when I open the door, it's not like, oh, my God, what is going to happen? What is she going to tell me? Or what did I do wrong? When I open the door, I just see two little people coming running. Daddy's home. My wife is sometimes happy, sometimes stressed out because kids stress everybody out, you know.
We're all stressed out.
But it's home, and I think that's the best place. I was telling my daughters the other day, do you guys feel safe here? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, good. This is the most safe place for y'all. It's right here. And I think marriage is supposed to be like that, you know? Yeah.
And not talk about bad about women, but in Proverbs, women. But in Proverbs it says, a good wife is opposite to one that the bad wife is like you're like at home and there's like a leak and it's like just hitting your head constantly. So like you said, there's some women that just as soon as a guy comes home and I think in your scenario you work from home or you stay home, and so imagine the hard work and you come home and just open the door. Pero es que tú no viniste, tú no me. Dude, that's really tough, right? That makes you think twice. Maybe it's like, hey, you know what? I'll go hang out with a friend. I'll go to my social event, but I'm actually going somewhere else. So it's just, and then guys too, right? As you come home, be lovable. Don't bring all that stress from work and just unload it on your wife. You just say like, man, it's awesome to see you guys. I'm so happy to be home. And these little things that make it awesome. That's a little bit about us from my point of view.
So we can start with the questions.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna start off with everybody. Jonathan, I think, has a question, and then from there we'll ping pong, and then we'll answer between us right here, and then no question is a dumb question, and no question is like, oh, this is too crazy. Marriage, dating, love, and marriage. You can ask about anything. Anything else, you can. We'll talk later. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so my question would be, because I know both of y'all kind of said the same thing, like y'all just started really young. So what would be that age, like, that you would say, hey, this is what age I would suggest, like, you guys get married? Because obviously y'all made it 20 years, but I mean, it was really rough, I think, because you start so young. But what would be a good age? You're like, I just think at that age, it'd make it a little bit easier.
I think there is no, like, you should get married. Everybody says that you should get married, like, have your career, have your job, wait till you're 30. Your 30s are good. Like, 30s are the new, like, let's start your life now, But I think God has a plan and a purpose for each and every one of us. Everybody's different. To me, I remember when I knew in my heart that Alan was the one for me, the first thing I did was I prayed, and I went to God in intercession, and I even told my mom, I said, Mom, this is the one. And she's like, pray. And God will, that's what he said, like, God secured his heart for 4 years. I said, I'm going to go off, I'm going to do my thing, and if he's the one, he's going to stay. And God did. And I think when you have, as a person, you have that strong base in the Lord. And, I knew I had a strong relationship, and I know he had a strong relationship in God. When we walked in, it wasn't that we were depending on each other for joy, for happiness. We knew, and when things came our way, we knew where to go and what our foundation was. So, and some people, when, they get that foundation in the Lord when they're 30, when they're 20, when they're 15, when they're 60. So I think, for me, when I knew my relationship with God was good, so now I can start a relationship with someone else.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's spiritual maturity, because I wasn't mature in the real world. Obviously, I didn't have career. I was still kind of going to college and kind of getting all that figured out. But it was spiritual maturity, because if I wasn't spiritual mature and she wasn't spiritual mature when we got married, there had been easy times. We could have been divorced like 10 million times, right? Because of the finance struggle. That's one of the biggest things in marriage too. So I feel like when you are spiritually mature, and by what I mean is, I was never going to let anything like that make us like separate, right? Or divorce or anything like that. I was going to say, look, I'm going to push. I'm going to do my best. And that was where, like, Spirit of God said, no, you got in this. You're going to fight. You're going to push. You're going to be there forever. So that can happen if you get married at 35. That can happen when you get married at 50, right? And I think there's a fine line, because if you get married too late, now you have a lot of customs that you bring from being a single person and from traveling, from doing this. And I've dated so many women, and you have to be like her and you have to be like that. So there's something beautiful when you get married at a young age too, right? Even though you're not ready there, you're never going to be ready. It's perfect 100%. But if you're spiritually mature, I think you can last through it.
Like you guys said, it's hard to say. I think 18 is the perfect age to get married, 21, 35. But I think there's a few things that you can put in place. For example, if you are mature enough, okay? If the person you're getting married to is mature enough. With marriage comes responsibilities, right? Are you financially able to support the new person that now is going to depend on you? Emotional, you got to support that person too, right? So I agree 100%. When you feel in your heart that this is the person, now you have to ask all these questions, right? Am I ready for this next step? The other thing is, don't ever get married to be happy. Don't ever do that. Don't ever think, when I get married, I'm going to be happy. Make sure you are happy right now, because when you get married, you're going to make the other person happier. Okay? That's how I see it.
Yeah, I think they covered everything by the time, I guess, to me. No, but yeah, on that point, you know how they always say you got to love yourself first to be able to love somebody else? So it's the same thing with marriage, right? You cannot give your all if you're not filled up, right? Like you should be. Happiness is not putting that responsibility on that person to make you happy, because that person is going to fail. One day he's not going to be happy, or she's not going to be happy because they had a bad day. So it's like they're not fulfilling what you are expecting of them, because you're putting them up here when they should be right here with you, right? You should be eye to eye. You should be able to give and receive. Another thing I think, now talking in the part of girls, right? There is always this fantasy of marriage, right? And it is what is cuento de hadas? How do you say that? Fairy tale. It is a fairy tale itself, but there is a reality, right? It's not the fairy tale of the movie of the Little Mermaid. They live happily ever after. No, because struggles are going to come. So you're going to have to face that reality. And if you're just living in La La Land, oh, the dress, oh, the Prince Charming, and then you're going to get hit with that wall, and it's going to be like, oh, like, it's not all that I thought it was going to be, because check, it's real life. You know, you're going to have all the struggles. So yes, be happy, and so then you can both be happy together. But yeah, I don't think there is a specific age, but whenever you feel that you're ready, obviously, and your partner is ready, and you have things aligned that you can start a life together, then yes, of course.
Yeah, the number part is hard, because I know some 18-year-olds that could get married. I know some 40-year-olds that shouldn't get married. And then the funny thing that you brought Disney up, for some reason I was thinking this week too when we were doing these messages, and I was like, man, you know, the movie ends, and it's like the wedding, the coronation day, like all that stuff, right? But I'm like, what about the next day? They never show, like, you know, when they wake up and then the guy wakes up and she sees that he has a hairy back, and she's like, I didn't know. Like, you know, you see all these things and you start like, she snores at night. They don't like show that stuff, right? It ends at the perfect part. So of course it's going to be happily ever after. But the next day or the next week or the, you know.
Little stuff that like start adding up,
Start
right?
adding
It's
up,
like the
yeah.
towel that you leave on the floor. Oh my gosh. Or like the toothpaste that you press a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like he presses in the middle. I'm like, what crazy person does that? It's like you start from the bottom. So what I did, now we have two toothpaste, one on his side, one on my side. So now he does what he wants.
Or
I was gonna say that. Just be smart about it, you know.
yeah. Or if she farts and she locks the doors, the windows, and you're like in the car. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. She doesn't do that.
You were sleeping outside, not even in the couch. Like you're sleeping outside. Okay, next question. I know Emily had questions. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, go.
Mine was, I know he said they were interviewing each other. So at what point did you know you guys were going to be pastors? 'Cause I know you guys are pastors. I know Alan and Thalita are pastor. So at what point did you start, I see myself as a pastor. What do you think about being a pastor's wife or, vice versa?
Backstory, I prayed I would not marry a pastor.
Same here. I was going to do nothing to do
I
with
told
church.
God, I was like, do
your
not.
dad is a pastor.
Yeah, my dad is a pastor. Backstory, my dad is a pastor. So I was like, God, that's one thing I did not want. So he played a joke on me. And
She said she didn't want to marry a pastor, right? And she asked me. She said, "What do you think of pastor?" Like, no, I don't have that calling. I'm not going to be a pastor. She's like, all right, cool. And then after we got married, he started talking, and I started ignoring. So one day I couldn't do it anymore, and I said, all right, if this is the calling, you got to do what you got to do in my life, and the rest is history. Here we are.
I think for me, when I got married, I said I didn't want it to either. I think all pastor kids say that because we see what our parents and what people go through. It's hard. It's a hard ministry. It's not easy. You see, the niceness and everything outside, but the everyday struggle, it's hard. And for me, I think God easily planted it in both of our hearts. Like we didn't get married and say we're gonna go into ministry. We were going to school. We were doing other things. Ministry had nothing to do with in my heart. But God, so many times I remember like 3-4 times God has used different people to pray over His life, our lives, and to confirm that. And I think it took a while. It took. We've been married for 10 years. I think it took about 8 years for me to accept what God was doing in our lives, And I think when you get married or before, let's say that you do have a call to be a missionary, you have a call to be a pastor, you have a call to be a businessman, make sure that you marry someone that aligns with that calling. Because how hard is it to have a church? And I've seen a lot of pastors married and their wife wants nothing to do with the church. She comes in, she hangs out, and she leaves. And so, make sure whatever calling it is, not even, in the church, but let's say, business or whatever it is, make sure that y'all are aligned in that. That, that if you want to travel the world and that's your, for your job, that your wife is, is okay with that. It's because that's important. So.
Yeah, for me too. I never thought I was gonna be. I like music. I stayed behind drums. I could make a lot of noise. Nobody bothered me. And then it's just time, little by little, as our churches are. They're smaller, and this person leaves, this person goes. You have to fulfill every kind of need at the church, and just little by little, I found out that it was a people person. Pastors not. The best pastors, to me, I don't think preach the best. And it sounds weird, right? To me, those are more like evangelists. To me, those are more of the good speakers. A pastor is the one that hangs out with his sheep. And that's what the whole thing is about a pastor, right? Is going to the person. If they're hurt, they lift them up, right? If a pastor doesn't have time to do that, then what are you doing? You're just giving good messages, right? So to me, is caring for people, loving for people. That to me is the most important part. But I didn't know. And like she said, it's important for both of you to be aligned. If you have it in your heart, pray to God. If she doesn't want to, then kind of like pray for, an understanding. God, I didn't know if my wife, because I've seen it, where recently actually we were going to church and the wife would just show up. You can tell it was a fake smile. And as soon as the church is over, she was already out, not talking to no one. And the guy was like saying hi to people. So that's I think worse than anything else, because it's a really weird situation, right?
So whenever we interviewed each other, I made sure to make sure that he was not going to be a pastor, but that changed. That
He
changed.
lied at his interview.
Yeah, we did marry. He was not a pastor. That happened many years later.
Hey, who
Many
doesn't
years
lie
later.
at the interview?
Yeah.
Whoa!
You always painted pretty. No, but yeah, that wasn't a calling in the beginning, so we would never imagine that was gonna happen. So yeah.
Yeah, when you say your financials, I have 10000, but the decimal, you don't know that I'm moving into the.
Yes, and that's very important. I think before you get married, like the interview part, you know, a lot of times when you're like dating someone, you're so enthused about like the whole part of like taking, you know, them out to eat, the flowers, trying to ooze them in. But when you're getting married, to me, like in an interview, like he was saying, I was like, what's your credit score? What is your relationship like with your parents? Those are things that are very important. There's this guy that I remember, I was driving to work and I was listening to 104, and he said that he got married, and the next few months they were planning to buy a house, and he couldn't because his wife had $80,000 in debt that he did not know of. Hers. Now it's his. And here, you know, when you get married, it's both of your debt, you know? And so these are things that, you know, that before, okay, you're $80,000 in debt. Let's work on that, you know, because when I got married, I remember, like Alan said, I love to shop. Oh my God, I would go shopping 24/7, but that put us in a hole. That put us where I remember having to call my mom and be like, Mom, I need money for food. I made enough, but I spent so much that, like, every day for lunch, I'd go to TJ Maxx and spent $100. That's $500 a week, not including weekends when I would go out with my mom. It was bad, you know? And so, but that was the first and second year. What we did, we went to the Dave Ramsey's, what do you call it? Seminars, and I had to get my life together because it was bad. Our credit cards were maxed out, everything. We had no money. I had 80 cents in my pocket to buy food and to last for a week, you know? And that was terrible. You know, we couldn't pay bills and stuff like that. So I had to get my act together because God's like, man, I'm providing, but you're wasting. And if we had that conversation before, we probably wouldn't even have, you know, to go through that. But we were young, you know, and luckily he stayed because, you know, a lot of causes of divorce is communication and finances. So I think those are the first two things that you need to head on. If you know that that's the person that God has for you, you need to have that conversation, no matter how hard it is. You need to have that conversation.
Asking for a friend.
Go ahead.
This won't be me because y'all will know. But what would you say to someone, let's say there's someone and both of them don't have a strong foundation with God. And then as they're dating, one of the people decide that they are going to step it up in their relationship with Christ and start, you know, serving at church and being part of a community. And they want to take their relationship with Christ seriously, but their partner is still kind of like, well, I don't know about this. So what would you say to someone who is in that position?
I think if in the beginning of your dating, that person doesn't have a relationship with God, because if you have a relationship with God, like strong, not just I pray, like when I wake up, like, hey God, how are you? That's it. You serve. You're at church. You are, you know, you're trying to get into a community. You're trying to do that. So I think the question is mostly, are they really, like in the beginning of the relationship, like, are they really like, do they really have a relationship with God at first? You know, because I think a lot of times, like when you interview somebody, is they have a relationship with God, but what kind of relationship is it? Is it just, hey, God, I come Sunday, I leave, I do my own thing, I go to the club, I do this. Sunday I come and I'm hanging out at church. Or is it the true relationship, like you said, reading my word, going to connect groups, you know, getting into that community, growing? I think when God is your number one, you can see where that person is hanging out and being and stuff like that. So I think what kind of relationship at first is that? And if one thing that I was thinking when I was driving here, the number one question is, a lot of people ask, can I date someone that, like they love God, but they're not really in church? Or, the Bible says no, like, don't do it, So if you are on fire for the Lord and that person you're dating is like, man, like, we don't have to go to church every day, get out of it. If they don't want to have a serious relationship with the Lord, that's not the person for you. Or maybe that person needs to grow, and then y'all, maybe in 2-3 years, y'all can come together and, and continue your relationship. But God, your relationship with God is number one priority. God cannot bless what he is not invited into. So he cannot bless your marriage if you're a Christian and then she's not. It's against his word. He's not blessing that marriage because he said you cannot be unequally yoked, and God can't bless. He's telling you, I can't bless that. So you can't ask God to bless your marriage if you're, So to your question, I think you need to kind of analyze what kind of relationship, and if you're going forward and that person doesn't want to, bye, Felicia.
Yeah, because one of the two things are going to happen. Either the person that's on fire for God is going to be contagious to the other person and they will grow with that person, or the other one is going to become cold and be apart, right? So that's one of the things that you got to take in consideration, and that's the importance of knowing and being in the same page, because also like what Carlos said, and one of the things that he talked about is we have talked to one of couple that was getting ready to get married, and she's very Christian and he's not very Christian. So one of the question was, okay, now you have kids, so do they go to church? Do they believe in Christ? Do they not go to church? Do they do what you do as a tradition? Like whenever you're raising up and, you pray over your children before you go to bed, do you not pray over your children? Because all of those things are going to, arise, because then you're not going to be in the same page. So, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I guess for me too is as I got older, I found out that it's good to be radical, I think sometimes, because the world is radical with us. We say something, they'll butcher it, they'll say all this stuff, right? So also it's when you grow up, also you stop caring about pleasing people too. You have your friends and they're your friends. If you don't like these people, the way they act and stuff, the moment, like I've seen it when I used to hang out with some people, I used to do things I shouldn't have done, And when I went because I was trying to, please them and stuff. And then when I would be like, hey, come here, they gave every excuse not to, right? So in the end, don't please those kind of people. And when I'm thinking, people always say, well, if you're up higher, you're elevated, and you try to bring them up, right? There's always that example. But the other example that I'm thinking, because I'm always hungry, is if I'm on a diet, it's good for me. If I drink water, I eat vegetables, I eat fruits, that's good for me, right? Eating all that other stuff is bad. So if I'm eating good and I'm eating all that great, and then she comes and she has pizza, she has burgers, picanha, who do you think is going to influence the other? It's very easy. It's very easy to go to the other side, right? Because it's enticing. Because our natural, we want to do bad. We're born to do bad stuff, right? But it's not good for us. The good stuff is what it's harder to do. And we don't like to, go the extra mile to do those things. So in those kind of relationships, be radical. Be like, hey, you know what? I don't think this is working out. Don't compromise. That's the most important relationship.
I believe before dating comes friendship. We got to be friends, right? Just like you guys, just hanging out, just talking, eating ice cream. At that moment, I know, oh, yeah, she's not into Christ, or, yeah, she's into Christ. Are we in the same level, compatibility, and all that? The other thing is, I got to love God first and then love you, right? So I'm going to express my love to my wife same way I love God. So if I love God, I'm going to love her. So that's how I see it.
Okay, now we got a question from our camera person.
I want to know.
Hi, Kitty.
I want to know what do you do when you think that when you feel that the things are not working out and you don't have the same flame, and yes, sometimes it's not the same thing as it used to be. What do you do?
Married or single?
Dating or-
dating?
I think I'll say married.
Oh, when you're so you feel like it's not.
The flame is not there.
The flame not. You know the funny thing is, I have a coworker who's been married for 2 years. Hope you're not watching. And so we came back to the office 2-3 weeks ago, and she comes in. I'm like, hey, how are you? How's things? She's like, girl, I'm getting a divorce, and it just didn't work out. She's been married for 2 years, has a 1-year-old child, and she said our feelings just didn't work out. Like, it's just, he was going one way, and with the pandemic, he was, just desperate for a job. He just didn't know how to handle himself. And so it's just not working. It wasn't cheating. It wasn't anything like that. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, that's the reason why y'all are leaving each other? And so I think in marriage, when depends. It just depends on what you're talking about. Depends if there's infidelity. I think if that's a whole different story. But I think it's if you're in a marriage, and let's say like we're just not communicating, we're not talking, we're not, and it's not working out with us. First, I recommend therapy. Honestly, people think that therapy is a bad thing, but if you can find yourself, first of all, therapy for your relationship, even if you have a good relationship, therapy is awesome. And you don't even have to go to a therapist. You can go to leaders. You can go to your pastors. You can go, and I think that both the husband and the wife need to want to better that marriage as well. And don't give up. Always say this, if you fell in love in the beginning, and you can find that again. It's just life sometimes happens, and sometimes you have kids, and you give 100% to that kids, and you forget to give to your spouse. Life happens, and both of you need to come together and want to make that work. Find somebody. Like for me and Alan, we have somebody that we go to and we speak to when we're going through difficulties, and we're going, having that. Like somebody that has a godly view to help you. Man, we're going through this situation. He thinks this, I think this. Help us, And so I think it just depends on, it's a lot of depth in that question,
Yeah, to me is kind of like basics when you spoke. Going back to the basics, right? Love. Do I love her more than I love myself? Am I putting her like Christ loves a church, right? Would I die for her? What am I going back to? Man, what used to make us click? Right? Sometimes kids, like you said, or work or church, to be honest, can get in the way if you let it get in the way. Sometimes it has to be like on Monday, I just text my sister and I was like, hey, can you take care of the kids? I want to take out my wife. And I told her, it's like, babe, I'm taking you out. And we went out. We had a good time. It was short, but those things you need. You need to go back to the basics, right? And it's about love. And if the flame's not there, make it hot. Babe, don't do anything when I go home. Put this dress on. I'm going to take you. What do you think the girl's going to do? Yeah. And if it's still not there, it's just like, you know what? Be creative. Go to your backyard. Put lights. I've always wanted to do this, but I never did. But it's this. Check this out. No, the only reason why is because they weren't ready for it. I wanted to do like candlelight dinner outside in the backyard. I wanted to put lights. I wanted to have some food. And I wanted them to play like acoustic in a piano as we ate. That would be something. Okay. Kids are okay. Should be okay. But something like that, right? It's all here. I just have to put it to work. But
now it's gonna happen.
Y'all gotta practice stuff.
Now it's recorded.
Yeah. So just getting back to the basics, right? Like you said, is there love really there? Do I really get myself, I'm tired, but I want to go out with her, right? I want to take her out to dinner. I want it to be all about her. Tell me about yourself. How was your day? How was work? Oh, really? How are the kids? Do you like this food? Put anything on this menu except this part you can order from, right? But just go back to the basics.
Unfortunately, marriage has become disposable, right? Nobody's fighting for marriage anymore. Like, oh, you messed up. That's it, brother. We're done. We're done. I will never forgive you for that. And that's it. It's interesting because we love our kids, right? We love our kids. If your kid do something wrong to you, would you just say, you know what, you're not my kid anymore? No, that would never come to your mind. You figure it out. You forgive and you figure it out. But yeah, right, this day and age is like, oh, it's not working out. All right, I can get married tomorrow, right? I'm still young, or I can do this, I can do that, and it's never that fight. But everything starts with love, true love. We just went through this unpleasant moment to see a couple very close to us who go through the divorce, and a divorce it's a very, very, very painful, very hard, not only in the couple but everybody around. So when I was talking to him, I said, dude, because he came and he said, that's it, I'm done. And I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. And we tried to talk about it, and still didn't change his mind. And then days go by, and let's talk about it, and nothing. And man, I was trying and trying and trying, into the moment he said, that's it, I don't want this anymore, that's it. And I asked him, do you love her? And he said, I never love her. I never loved her. I think I got married because she was pregnant. I said, I'm sorry you're going through this. I have done everything I can to help you out. But before you make that decision, I want you to ask this question to yourself. Have I done everything I could to prevent this divorce? And he said, I don't want to do everything. I'm like, all right, brother, you're done. You're pretty much done. But going back, it was not love. It was not love. So if it's not love, you don't have that urgency to fight for that, to say, you know what, let's make it work. You wrong, I'm wrong, let's make it work. So love.
And then one thing, just, when you get married, it's for life. Like, you go in with that mentality. It's for life. You will only leave here in a body bag, And I tell Alan that you will not leave here with you or me alive. This is for life. No matter what we go through, no matter how hard life gets, we are doing this together. It's true, but it's true. I was like, I am not, this is going to be forever, buddy. That's the kind of mentality I'm going into.
It's interesting because when you're here and it's a beautiful wedding and the pastor asked that question, would you stay beside her in health or sickness, in rich or poor, into death do us apart? And you go, yes, I do. All right, buddy, it's before God. It's before God. So make sure you understand those questions and how you're going to answer those questions.
Yeah, it's an everyday choice. So it's not just like we were talking about. It's not, love is not just based on emotions, because today I'm happy. Today I like you. Tomorrow I don't like you that much, So today I love pizza. Tomorrow I don't like pizza. No, it's an everyday choice. And going back to how do you keep that flame and that fire, because it's making time. One of I think the first issues that women or men come is they never have time for me, or she never has time for me, or he never have time for me anymore, because they lost the communication. One is on the phone. That's one of the things, like, if you can see now families nowadays, you go to restaurants, they go out to eat as a family. The kids are on the iPad. The husband is on his phone. The mom is checking Facebook or whatever. Everybody's eating. The check comes. nobody said a word to each other or looked each other in the eyes.
What if they were playing a game
No.
with each other?
Really?
After-
Like there were not there's no communication in between them. So it's making that time for each other. Right now we have kids, and obviously sometimes at dinner time is asking about their day, and then we're gonna start telling a story. Then they go, oh, and then what we were talking about gets dismissed, right? Like whatever we were having that conversation is like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to say one thing. So our conversation starts their bedtime. We tuck them in. We pray for them. Now is our time to drink my coffee. He drinks his tea. Now we're going to talk. Now we can look each other. Now he can say whatever he wants. Now we can do things together. It's dating. I date him every single day, 8:30 p.m. The kids go to bed, and that's my time with him. You got to make that time and do those special things that you used to, because as I said, now life is just beginning as two, right? Now is the fullness of it.
Yeah, and to me, when I was hearing her, and then you guys, I guess, speaking to different people about love, we get it confused with the feeling, because that feeling we can have with someone else, you know? I can be working at the bank, a woman comes in, like talks to me a certain way, and those butterflies can happen. I'm just being real, right? Same thing with her. Some guy can come, or it's not a feeling, because if it was a feeling, Jesus would have not died on the cross. Trust me, he did not want to be there, right? But it's not a feeling. You have to fight for it. You have to, it's just something completely different. And if you want to learn about love, come talk to us afterwards, and we'll kind of talk to you about that stuff.
Okay, we have 2 more questions, but we'll try to be like quick.
No, I mean, oh, they have a date at night.
They have a date in mind. Okay, so
This question came to me when Joyce asked hers, and it's kind of vague, but it's not personal, by the way. So let's say at the point where you interviewing the person, right, and you see that they completely have everything you've wanted. They serve God, you know, everything, and there's just you see a long-term vision with them, but the thing is, they just okay. You picture a long-term relationship with the person, you know, for the future and all. You see that her goals in life, her ambitions, kind of inspire you, but it's almost as if the person is oblivious to how much potential they have. And this is the vague part of the question. It's like they're oblivious, but yet they acknowledge it and choose to neglect that side of, you know, just the ambitions that they have in life. Because nobody wants to date somebody who doesn't have aspirations in life, you know. So that's the question.
Like, you know the potential, but they don't. Neglect it.
So you see it, but that person neglect the talent that they have? I guess is your role to make her or him realize how much potential they have, right?
I agree with that, because I remember when I started dating Alan, I tell him every day, like, I have to remind him, because sometimes he's so busy with church, with stuff like that, and I remind him, I was like, don't forget what God has put in you. Don't forget that you at Chase, you're not going to be there forever. God is going to put you where he's promised to put you. And so I think, like he said, it's your job as a spouse or a girlfriend, or, I mean, husband and wife, interviewer, you know, to push that. And it's always, there's going to be moments in your marriage where you're not going to be motivated, like as a wife. But then, you know, his job is to help me and me to help him. There's going to be moments where you're going to have your lows and your highs. But if you push each other, it's pushing each other, and you seeing that potential in that person and pushing them to, you know, be their best. I mean, yes.
Yeah, I think something that I think Jonathan or one of you guys had mentioned that Tiago said once too is, when you're doing that interview part or you're dating and you're doing those things, don't think of it as, man, if it doesn't work out, to the trash, right? Always if they leave you, right? If you leave that relationship with that person, make them better than where they were. And you will always be known as that. Because what if they come back to your, right? And they're like, well, Scott, once, we broke up, he left me like, or once we started dating and something happened, me dejó como like nothing, right? So, but be that guy or be that girl that when you leave that relationship, that person becomes a better person. Maybe they forgot the things that they were supposed to do, right? Or a lot of the talent that they had, but you push them like, man, you should open up that business, or you should be that YouTuber, you should do this, man, you have so much talent, right? And in the end, you just being a follower of Christ and being someone like Christ, you're able to lift that person up. It's pretty cool.
Can we go to the next question?
So my question is, how do you get married to someone for like 50, 60 years? Because you live with this person every single day. When you're dating, it's different. When you're dating, oh, I'm tired of him. I go to my house 2 days later, or I miss him, I come back. But when you're married, 60
You
years.
go nowhere.
How does, what do you do when you're tired? When you feel tired, when you feel like, oh, I'm bored. How does it work?
That's a good
being
question.
married 20, 10 years, 50, 60, till dead.
That's a good question, because you know what? It's very rare to see somebody married for that long nowadays, right? It's when somebody says 30 years, you're like, what? 30 years?
Happily married. That's
Happily,
a lie.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is a lie.
Happily
Not
married.
every day you're happy.
You're not
There's
happy married.
moments, there's days that you're not going to be happy.
To me, I've been married for 10 years. And we've had our very lows and we've had our highs. I mean, we've been through financial situations. We've been through losing a baby. We've been through so much. And for me, it's not giving up on each other. There is moments that I remember I would be so angry, at my situation or Alan or whatever, but it's a choice. You choose to be in that marriage. And I think a lot of, like Carlos was saying, a lot of days, there's so many easy way out. If I'm not happy, bye. I'm going to find somebody. But your happiness will never be found in nobody else. If your happiness is not based on Jesus Christ, then whatever relationship you're in will not last. And I think when you have that strong base in the Lord, you can face whatever. And like you said, it's not happy every day, but it's 90%. For me, my marriage, 90% of happiness, no matter even how hard it is. But it's a choice. You choose that person every day.
And you grow and it changes, right? When you're 20, there's certain things that are fun. And I've seen there's a lot of younger people that they feel like every weekend has to be epic, and we have to go out and we have to have a dinner on Saturday and then go out and have
it, right? They always post
they always post the stories, and I'm at
cool
Perry's
stuff.
Steakhouse and no sé qué, and I'm not kidding. And I'm having it's so much fun, and then but sometimes it's not about that too. Sometimes it's going to a park. It's sometimes hanging out with friends, inviting people over, right? You don't have to spend money to have fun. And I feel like a lot of now the younger people, and sometimes me too, we're all about experience. I just want to experience the best weekend. Bro, I want to go to this concert. ACL is going to be sick. And worship experience. I'm going to go to Elevation Worship every weekend. But as you grow, you also mature in certain things, right? The things that we're used to, if you watch Paw Patrol for 2 hours straight, you're not going to like it anymore, right? As you grow up, you mature, and those tastes in certain things become a little different. So you'll start learning each other, and you'll start growing each other too. And there's some days that, like you said, it's not going to be fun and happy. I know sometimes when I walk in, I'm like, okay, let me not. No, I'm not just speaking about you. I'm just saying, in general, that partner, she sees me sometimes. She's like, oh, I know something's off. Let me not push, right? I know something's off. Let me not push. You start growing, and you start getting to know each other.
One thing I learned is when your husband walks in or your wife walks in the house, if there's a drama or issue going on, don't let them come in, let them rest, let them put their feet up.
Oh, yeah.
And then you talk about it later.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that you walk in the house and it's like, oh my God, you didn't know Zoe did this at school. It's like, bro, So these things you're maturing. And it's a choice. It's a choice to love that person every day.
And just know that when you get married, it's not going to be fun the purpose of marriage is fun, right? There's things
I'm
where
gonna put a timer.
I know we're gonna put a timer. Okay, it's about maturing too at some point.
And then just one thing: before you get married, if you have any doubt about the person, don't do it. I remember when I was in school and somebody told me, when you walk down that aisle, you better be 1,000% sure that that's the person that God has for you, or that's the person for you. If you have a little doubt or a little fear or any doubt in your heart because he's like this or like that and questions, don't do it. It's not worth it.
So, interesting portion of your question is how you can stay with the same person for 50, 60 years every day. I got to be honest with you, okay? Sometimes I need my space, and sometimes she needs her space. Sometimes I tell her, I need you to go out with your sister, with your friends, do something fun. She needs that. She needs that. I'll stay with the kids. But we're watching a show where this couple, they travel the world, right? And they live inside a van. And the guy one day, he was frustrated. And he was just sharing, man, 24 hours inside this van with her. I just need my moment. I need to do something different, not staying here all the time. That is necessary. I'm never going to tell her, hey, go a weekend with your friends to Vegas. No, okay? You're not going to do that. No. But I think that space, that moment is super, super necessary.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna need those moments by yourself, and like you think like, oh my gosh, it's 50, 20 years, but you start learning so much about yourself through that other person, and vice versa. There's so many things that you discover. It's just like the Bible. You might read one verse and you interpret that verse one time, right, a certain way. Then you read it again and you're like, man, I never saw that word right there. It's the same thing in marriage. Like, it's a daily discovery. You're gonna find out new things. You're gonna be like, what? You did this when you were, a little kid, or you did this, on your youth, or you're always gonna find out new things. So don't think it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's the same person. I already know him, like, everything from his head to his toe. No, you're always gonna discover new things from each other every single day.
I have a lot of things to say. But surround yourself in a when you're in a married relationship, don't surround yourself. Make sure you have married couples around you, not just your single friends that are out there having a good time, going to Vegas, Surround yourself with people, not just any couples though, but couples that you look up to as well. That, man, they're amazing. They're examples to us. We do that. We have couples that we hang out with, that we go out with, that are mentors to us. So make sure that your surroundings as well are the kind of people that, the kind of people you become, the kind of people you hang out with. Yep. You know that saying? Your marriage is the same. Your marriage can become like the marriages that are around you. So if you're hanging out with people that cheat on their wife, and you know it, that friend that's always cheating on his wife, always flirting, the friend that's doing this, that doesn't respect her husband, and she talks mess about her husband all the time when y'all go out, that's not a good friend to be around. So, because like at my job, the women talk mess about their husband all the time. And I'm like, Thalita's husband's so perfect. Like, that's why they make fun of me and stuff like that. Not that he is less from perfect, far from perfect, But I respect him in that way, and I don't surround myself with people like that because I'm not going to talk mess about my husband to other people.
Another thing, too, I know we're coming back to the fun. It needs to be fun, but it's not going to be fun all the time. And I think of it as a team, and I don't want this team to fail. Just like when I watch the Astros, right, they're in playoffs, or the Golden State. I'm sorry, I know. The Rockets always fail me. But it's a team, and I want this team to win. And sometimes there's going to be seasons, right, in the Rockets where it's going to be kind of tough for some time. But you know what? They do make it higher. And in the end, I always want to push her up. And this is my team, and I know she wants me to push up. So sometimes it's not going to be always fun because there's, like, again, I think about as finances wise, saving is not fun, right? But once you get to that 10,000 mark, 20,000 mark, 50,000 mark, 100,000, that feels good, right? But that wasn't fun to get there. And you see those people, I see them at the bank. I see people with 1 million, 10 million, 20 million. And I know it wasn't like that from one day to another. It wasn't fun. There's nights where they had to stay home. They had to eat ramen noodles, right? Get creative, get all that stuff, right? So it's not going to be fun all the time. There's going to be time, but it's a team. We're here in this together. And if you have a plan that's the end goal of, hey, I want to retire at the age of 40 or 45, are you with me? Let's do it, right? So it's also being kind of part of a team and making sure that you win and succeed. And just to let you know, there are some clingy people, some weird people. So Pastor Marlene and Elcio, they worked at the same place for how many years? 20 years. Every day they went to work together. They went to the same job. They went out to lunch together. They went back to work together. They drove home together. They slept together. They came to church together. 20 years, right? But everybody is different, right? We kind of did do that. Yeah, we could do that. But it's just different, right? For each and every person. Now I see him sometimes, I'm like just driving through Katy. I just see him just, by himself. You're not going home, bro. You're going the opposite direction. But he goes out now. He has his freedom, right? But there's different things at different seasons in life. As you grow up, you change, right? So it's just always having that in mind. Yes, you had a question.
We got somebody who's married who wanted to add something.
Okay. Go ahead, yeah.
Yes, it's also important with kids and everything to not lose your identity. Like Pastor Carlos was saying, have your you time. Because my time is like going to the gym, listening to my music, Abner and all that. He does his thing. He works on the car, in the garage. Because, yeah, it can get like overwhelming sometimes, So it's very important. And respect each other too. Because at the beginning, for us, it was different. He lived in another country. I was here. So we didn't have that about dating every weekend. And our situation was kind of different. So we kind of, like, whenever we started living with each other for the first time, that's him right now. he's far away.
Abner, if you're
Respect
looking,
my mic time.
This is her time.
I just finished
Respect.
the car, girl.
Respect is like key too, because I remember at the beginning, like we didn't know each other that well, and when we would get in an argument, he was the type of like, leave me alone, like let me cool off, and I'm okay. He'll just like forget about it, and me, I'm like, no, we have to talk about it. It started right here, and I cannot go to sleep if we don't talk about it. So just respect each other.
And something that, remember, Tiago and Diana talked about, learning the love language of your spouse, of your partner, or even your family members and stuff like that. Like people have different love languages, and invest time in it to learn. Alan's love language is different than mine, and so be able to learn that so then you can better your marriage. And I've been married for 10 years, and I'll tell you, I am more in love with this dude than I was when I first, when I am, I am like obsessed with my husband. And everybody knows that, and it's okay. And so I am more, and that's awesome. That confidence in each other. Like, I'm obsessed, and it's okay to be that, and that's awesome. And I hope to be more obsessed in 30 years. So.
Oh, and also, if you didn't know, there's 5 love languages and 5 apology languages. So learn that, because from Viera and Tiago, the book that they mentioned, there's also this book called The Love She Needs and the Respect He Deserves, because for men and women, those are 2 completely different things that I would say it's very good to learn at the dating stage, because you will save a lot of trouble. Yeah. Just putting that out there.
I didn't have a question. I just was going to add to what Scott had said about the person that doesn't know her potential or their potential. My thing is that's more related to like a person's self-esteem and how important it is for yourself to be whole before you get in a relationship with somebody else. Regardless of whatever it is that you do, whether it's your career or if it's your job or you go to school or whatever it is, you need to be 100% whole, because that's the other thing too. If you're constantly trying to bring someone up here, it can get tiring because you can almost feel like you're dragging someone to be here. Because one thing is you can tell somebody, hey, like Thalita with Alan, I need you to do this, but then Alan went and did it. She didn't have to tell him continuously for 5 years waiting for him to change.
And then something that she said, one last thing. I don't think we have any more questions, right? We're good. Is a lot of us have issues, like daddy issues. We have, a lot of people have been abused, have been through trauma, and we don't face those things before ever. It happens to us, and we continue life. These are things that you need to face. If you have issues with your parents, if you have issues with your self-esteem, if you've been abused physically, if you've been abused emotionally, you need to face these things before you get into any relationship, because if you don't, you're bringing it into your marriage, and that's going to be worse. And so a lot of times, we go through things, we face things, we deal with things, and we just continue life like nothing happened. And they will pop up in your marriage, and they will pop up in your kids. They will pop up if you don't face those things head on.
Just to add to that, I think before you get married, make sure there's no secrets, okay? Make sure you tell your partner, you tell him, you tell her, all your secrets, because it's better to find out now and try to fix it or make a decision than find out later where you marry, and then it's going to be difficult to do that. So any fears, any traumas, anything that you have done in the past, like she said, any debt that you have, or anything, guys, remember, you're going to become one, so everything needs to be out on the table.
And if they are like, nope, then he ain't the one, boo-boo. Move on.
Okay, so because of time's sake, we got like about 3 more questions. You guys want to answer this offline, kind of like when
Yes,
we
that's
rest?
fine. Yes.
Okay, so
Tammy has one. We'll be short on answers.
We'll be short. Okay. Yes. It is very important.
Is it important to ask your partner how many sexual partners you had before getting married?
Yes, because what if you get married and that becomes something that was a break it or make it, right? Now you have a huge problem. So I think it's very important for you, when it gets serious, right? As it's getting more serious, as you're doing the interviews and stuff, I think it's very important, because that, for me, if she's like, hey, I never had sex with someone, awesome, right? Or hey, I had sex with 20 guys, that comes, or same thing with me. She's like, yeah, I used to be a womanizer, and I've had sex with 50 women. That makes it or breaks it for some people, right?
And please don't play that card, don't ask, don't tell. Please, please, please don't do that, okay? I think everything needs to be out on the table.
And
the only reason why, and this is why it's so important to come to these classes and stuff, and remember that the consequence of sin is death, and it could be death of a relationship. So what you do now is not just, the sex, it feels good and it's awesome, but you know what? In your future, the wife that you're going to have, that perfect wife, may not be able to love you. You may not be able to get married because of the stuff you did in the past. So before you start, with these little baddies and stuff, the one that you want, make sure that you are getting prepared for the one that you really want, not these little ones, okay?
I forgot what I was going to say.
okay, we're keeping it short. Next question.
Okay.
I want to know how the couple should, if they have to tell how they react with the friends of the opposite gender. Yeah.
Okay,
Was that an online question?
I love that question.
Was that an online question?
Is that an online question or your question? Okay, so your friend having a friend of the opposite. I said, no, baby.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Because I've seen a lot of couples say, oh, but I'm only friends with guys. Like, guys are the only ones that get me. So when you make a commitment to a wife or a husband, that's it. First of all, like if imagine Alan, think about this. Okay, you're thinking about yourself, but imagine me and Alan, right? And he has a friend, let's say, what's somebody at church? Like Tammy. Sylvia. Let's say Sylvia, right? Yeah, let's say Sylvia. You know, she's married, but they hang out 24/7. You're out at a restaurant and you see Alan and Sylvia eating together, but he's married. What do you think of that? Right? You
Just
think
friends.
we're just friends, right? We've just
Sure.
been best friends for so long. First of all, if you have a best friend, there's friends that probably you've had, let's say there are 5 and you know y'all are the same sex. That friend has to embrace and respect your relationship with your spouse. And from that point forward, you and that friend, it's let's hang out. Yeah, let's hang out, me and Alan. You know, because Alan has never put me in a position where I would be jealous. And I've never put Alan in a position that he would be jealous. And if your spouse is, or your boyfriend and girlfriend, and this is the one, is saying, man, like, I don't feel comfortable. Bye. You got to choose between that, what is more important, this person or that person? Because that will always continue to be an issue. And so once you make that step of marriage, it's you and that person. If your job transfers you to Europe, your best friend ain't going. It's your spouse. So they become priority. They become first.
And it's also this thing of, again, you have your dream girl, your dream guy. You've wrote it down, all the qualities, right, that you said. She turns me on. She's Christian, all this stuff. And it's the perfect girl. Imagine if she had a guy friend that she would always go out. That's not going to happen, right? So it's the same thing with you. You have a guy best friend. Trust me, the moment he gets a girl, it's just done, right? Unless y'all are both married now and y'all both are going out together as a couple. Now that's a little different, right? You're best friends, and you can technically now do that. But if they're single, I'm sorry, you can't.
Let me explain to you how man thinks, okay? You as a man, you marry and you have a friend, a female friend, okay? Maybe the female thinks he's just my friend. Man thinks differently. Man, the moment that door cracks open, he's gonna get in. Let me tell you one more thing. If you're married and you have a female friend, you are playing with fire. I don't care how holy you are. I don't care how spiritual you are. The devil is alive. Okay? You are playing with fire. And do me a favor, don't put yourself in that situation because you're going to regret it and you're going to remember this day. Don't do it.
If you're in the dating season, does that make it okay? Because some people would argue, oh, we've been best friends forever. Like, because I think a couple years ago, we had somebody ask that question during the series. Well, what if we're just dating? I've been friends with this person. They're the opposite sex. They've been my best friend since I was little. Like, but this is the person I'm with. So what do I do?
With marriage, and we're talking about dating, come sacrifices, right? When I was dating, I wanted to be with her all the time. Unfortunately, we couldn't, but I wanted to be with her all the time. I think there should be a space, right? We got to have our own space. Personally, I don't agree guys having females friends, okay? And I don't agree females having guys friends because at the end of the day, we're just humans and there's risk. Why are you going to put yourself in that position?
And you should if you're a couple, have couple friends.
Yeah.
If you're, surround yourself with, like, I hang out with people that are couples, and like I said, there will always be, you will be planting a seed. I will tell you this. You will be planting a seed in your spouse's heart of jealousy. And why are you doing that if that person is the number one for you,
And if it's your best friend, like Thalita, I think it was Thalita who mentioned, they are going to understand. Now you have a significant other that you're not dating. You know, and that's one of the things that we talked about. We weren't dating whenever we started dating. It was like, I'm not going to see if it works out here and then go over there, which it is a stage for you to see that. But my mentality was right now I'm dating, this could be my future husband. So whenever your friends, right, of the opposite sex, and if it's your best friend, they're going to understand that if right now you're dating and if you have this person, that person could be potentially your husband. So now they need to respect the space that y'all have together.
And Alan was my best friend. And look what happened. So. He told me, we are just friends. I see you as a sister. Those words came out of his.
And that door cracked
Jockton,
just a little bit open, and he got in.
Jockton
Told
was
you.
there, and I remember Alan said, and he would tell everybody, he just sees me. I see her as a sister. 2 babies later, I'm sister.
Sister in Christ.
Okay, 2 questions, her, and then not won't be here till late. Yeah.
All right, this question is for Thalita.
Oh Lord.
How did you know that Alan was like the one for you? Like, what was your feelings? What were your thoughts? Like, how did you know he was the one? Assuming that he didn't know. He didn't know. Like, what was your feeling? What were your thoughts? How do you know he was like the one?
Oh man. And you know, like when they say when you know it's the one you know, like I knew. Like there was such a peace, first of all. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I just when I saw he was everything I wanted. Everything. And he was. I made my list. I made my list. Even to the point where I said I wanted my husband to be best friends with my brother. I had that on my list. He checked everything on my list. So first thing I did, and sometimes that's where we go wrong. Like I knew because he checked everything on my list, is I went straight to prayer. And God confirmed that. Like I knew like his physical, who he is, but God hadn't confirmed that yet. And so when I went into prayer and I had somebody else pray with me, and God completely confirmed 4 years later, because it took 4 years of being friends to then God confirm. Because I was ready, he wasn't ready. He was still in a season of his life where he was getting out of high school, still that, like growing up. But I knew, like, but spiritually, like I could see deeper, like his maturity, but he was still a big kid. And I was like, God, I need you to prepare him because that's my man. I told God that. And I waited. I did not go kiss him behind the bush. I did not go do things like that and then said, God, I waited. We didn't kiss. We didn't do anything. We waited for 4 years. And then I told him, and he still rejected me. Yeah. He rejected me.
I know the feeling.
No. Worst part. No. Let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all real quick. I don't know if y'all know this story, but I was done with it. I was like, man, I know this dude. Like, we hang out. It's just awesome. We have the same friends. We have a good time. He loves God, like just everything. And we were watching a movie, and I just kissed him. And I was just like, I just kissed Alan. He looked at me. He said, I thought we were just friends. That's what he told me. And I went home. I remember crying in my car before I went into the house. And I didn't talk to him for a whole month. Like, I stayed. It was so embarrassing. Like, Jesus, like, a girl being rejected? Like, at least you can say, like, yeah, okay. Like, something. And he came after me after that, after I told him. I was like, no. Like, I'm not gonna.
I wanted some more.
So, to me, God, like, what he checked, everything that I wanted was on my list. And there wasn't a compromise. I didn't compromise. I told God I'm not going to compromise. Those little things that, sometimes you're dating somebody and you just like, well, like he just talks a little rude with his mom, but it's because they have a bad relationship anyway. So he has the right to do that. Or just because like he spends, like he has no control of his money. But when we get married, well, he'll know we have bills and stuff. I told God I'm not going to compromise on nothing. And I didn't. So.
That was not part of the question. We're not gonna spin this off. Really, we can talk about this after we're done, but we just have.
It's okay. Go ahead. 2 seconds.
Yeah, so for me, it was because there was a lot of opportunities for me to date, and there's a lot of girls and stuff like that. But I wanted a woman, and she's a woman. I know that she would, she had the right attitude of a woman, because there's some girls that they're 30 and they're still girls, but this was a woman. She knew what she wanted. I knew that nothing would like tear her apart from me, and also since she was obsessed with me, I know that that was a good thing, right? You want your girl to want you, right? Right? You don't want her like have a guy friend and go out with. No, I want this mine, right? All me.
How much of an obsession is too much?
When you suffocate.
Yeah, when you suffocate, right? But that's when I knew. I knew this was my woman. She was a woman and not a girl.
Tammy's question.
Okay.
Could we just go back to the, your spouse having the opposite sex of friend, the opposite sex friend? No, it's important. So let's say that you start getting to know your partner's friends and whatnot, and then you become friends with them. Is that does that change the fact that he cannot have this friend or something like that, or?
It's not that he can't have the friend. It's not that. It's that he shouldn't be hanging out with her by herself. Like you come home and they're both at the house hanging out, or I've seen it. I've seen it before, Oh, she's just here. Rachel just got here like 10 minutes before you did. Like, it's embrace, right? It's embracing your relationship, respecting you as his wife, respecting boundaries, that there's new boundaries. And if she loves you as much as he loves her, he'll respect that. And y'all will hang out together. Y'all will go, and do things together. So I think it's that sense of respect. There's some women that are territorial. You're best friends, and that girl comes in and she starts acting like attitude and ugly and stuff like that. And so obviously her intentions are not right.
Yeah, like I'm texting a girlfriend that's mine, and I'm like laughing. Like that's it. It
Common sense. Yeah. Have common sense. Yeah. Be like, let's make a group text. You, me, and Rachel. Let's all hang out. let's make a WhatsApp for all three of us.
Rachel, if you're watching. We have one more back there.
One more, guys. One more.
I think we're done with all the questions. Unless
Okay.
anybody else wants to ask something.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Going twice?
Going twice, 3 times.
Pedro had one, right? Yeah.
Go,
He
Pedro.
said the question will
Yeah,
make
yeah, he
people
raised his
cry.
hand.
It's okay. Make
really
us cry.
curious. Yes.
It's okay. Go.
I don't have a question.
He's shy about it.
Okay, awesome.
But that wraps up all the questions. We want to thank
Emily has a question.
Emily?
Oh, okay.
False
Okay.
alarms.
All right.
We want to thank the pastors for their time. Pastor Carlos and his wife for coming out, and our home pastors. Afterwards, we'll be hanging out over there. If you guys have more deep questions that'll make people cry, that you're embarrassed to ask.
No, I want to say one thing, guys. I said it a couple of weeks when I was here. Before you get married, please, please, please go to pre-marriage classes, okay? Super, 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 super important. If you are on a relationship and you have issues, you have troubles, or whatever it is, go to them, talk to them. Sometimes talking to a mature person, couple who has been through the moment that you're going through, it helps tremendously, okay? So please, please, please learn from our mistakes. We never had the chance to go to pre-marriage counseling or classes. Do that. Do that.
All right, so we want everybody to stand up. We're going to pray for you guys. We're going to pray for if you're in a marriage, if you're dating, if you're single, that God blesses you and that God gives you the right person. Like my desire for each and every one of y'all is to meet the love of your life, to have fun, to enjoy life, and to have beautiful babies, and just to have a good life with that person that God has for you. Amen? So we're going to ask Pastor Carlos if you can pray over the kids. That'd be awesome because they're my babies.
Heavenly God, thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your love. Everything begins with you. you're the one who created the relationship between a man and a woman. And I ask you, Lord, that these classes or the conversation that we've been having for the last 3 weeks has been placed in our hearts like a seed, and we have learned something that we can apply tomorrow and have great and blessed relationships. If there is someone in here who's asking you for that partner, I just ask you, Lord, that you open the eyes of that person, his heart, and that he can see what that person can be for him or for her, and start working inside of them, and they can find that person. If someone is in a relationship, I ask you, Lord, that you love is upon them, and they can see and share the love, and that we can learn from each other and have a better relationship, so tomorrow we can have a great marriage and create and establish great families. Thank you for your love. Thank you for everything that you have done and the things that you will do for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Gracias por haber compartido este momento de adoración con nosotros. Esperamos que la palabra le haya llegado a cada uno de ustedes. No olviden suscribirse. Los esperamos el próximo domingo.